This is me. This is how I win.
Uncut Gems, the latest movie from the Safdie Brothers, takes place in 2012 New York City, following a jeweler and gambler named Howard Ratner. When he loses possession of a rare gem, he enters a high-stakes bet to pay off debt collectors who are closing in on him. Benny and Josh Safdie are a sibling duo who started off as sort of jack-of-all-trade filmmakers. They often take up multiple jobs on the movies they work on, whether it's directing, writing, editing, director of photography. Their last big feature, Good Time, had Benny in a small supporting role. It was this movie that actually convinced Adam Sandler to sign on to their next project, that being Uncut Gems. The Safdie brothers had been working on the script as far back as 2009, and they wanted Sandler for the part, but he seemed to always be too busy. It's kind of fascinating how this one movie changed the trajectory of their careers. This crime thriller that earned a little over twice than what it cost to make gave them the green light to get $19 million for Uncut Gems. It was a gamble, no pun intended, that A24 took, and it paid off, as the movie would go on to gross $50 million, the highest grossing A24 movie at that time. It even got infamously snubbed for Best Actor at the Oscars for Adam Sandler, but in all fairness, it was a stacked year in general at the Academy.
I'd like to also give a shout out to my fellow nominees, who will now and forever be known as the guys who lost to fucking Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler is a strange breed. He makes all these bad movies, yet he's proven himself to be a formidable actor and comedian. However, at the same time, the good spots within the past 2 decades have been few and far between. I can't help but wonder, is he aware that his movies are bad, or genuinely doesn't know until the final product comes out? Is he a bad actor who gets lucky from time to time, or is he talented but lazy? Whatever the truth may be, it's clear that this is a very different Adam Sandler movie, a complete 180 from the material he's been producing for Netflix. What follows is a 2-hour and 15-minute panic attack with a shocking conclusion. We start the movie off in Ethiopia, where an accident has just occurred. And even before we're introduced to any of our main characters, we get a sense of what we're in for. There's panic, lots of shouting, a couple guys trying to keep things under control, combined with the authentic shaky cam to go with it. It's a pretty brilliant way of letting the audience know what they're in for, and the movie hasn't even hit the 2-minute mark. A couple miners take advantage of the chaos and empty mine to find a black opal gem. Remember this stone, because you'll be seeing it quite a lot later. As the camera goes into the gem, we get transported into this surreal arrangement of blue and orange, almost like we're flying through the clouds of an alien planet. It's also where we get the title card, which looks like a neon sign you'd see on the outside of a sketchy pawn shop. You see this type of sign, and you don't really want to go in. You just know that the owner is some sleazeball. It kind of complements the sort of shady nature of Howard as a character. The way he speaks and his body language gives off the vibe of someone who can't really be trusted. He's always talking, trying to figure out which lies he needs to keep straight and which ones he needs to come up with. Even his store feels a bit untrustworthy. It's off the beaten path, there's sometimes unsavory characters who hang around. The store itself feels like an extension of Howard. This amazing display of colors ends with
going up the sigmoid colon.
A colonoscopy. I don't know whose idea was to go from rare gem to literal asshole, but I'm not going to think too hard on it. We're now in New York City in 2012, where we meet our protagonist, Howard Ratner. Now let's address what you've all came to hear. Adam Sandler's performance is incredible. There's an uneasiness to the character that never seems to go away. He's always saying something, even when shutting up may be the best option for him. There's a lot of repetition, he gets sidetracked easily. You can tell he's a pathological liar who can't seem to keep his story straight. Combining this with the cinematography that's usually focused on characters' faces, it creates a sense of anxiety and claustrophobia. You're always on edge, wondering what stupid decision he's going to do next.
Yes, show me. What was this shoot?
Look at these pictures.
And who's this guy?
Major.
What the fuck is the
He's
weekend?
gonna be major,
Well, she was right about that.
even though he's from Canada.
This guy looks stupid.
Another thing that really dials up the intensity is how the characters seem to be always talking over one another. There's never a moment where one person really quiets down and tries to hear the other one out. It's always talking and jabbing and cutting over each other. The movie does this to make a point that when there's a break in the chaos, That's when you really need to pay attention. You go from all this yelling and screaming and cussing to suddenly just quiet.
You're dead, fucker. You're dead. You think I'm playing games?
But we both agreed that we'd wait till after Passover.
Next, you'll be saying you want to wait until after the summer.
I made a crazy risk, a gamble, and it's about to pay off.
Do you see
Here's
this?
$165,000 right here. Cash. 6% goes to the money. I've already taken that out.
Whenever there's dialogue in the movie, or a moment where a character is focusing on something, it never muffles out the other speakers. Looking at this scene, when Howard is clearly entranced by the opal. Meanwhile, his employer Yussi is threatening to walk out after being mistreated by Garnett's security.
Man, I can't deal with your problems every other day. There's a lot of people on this block that would love to do business with me. Howard, hello? I'm standing here, man. Come on, man. I gave you 8 years of my life, and you can't even fucking talk to me and then look me in the eyes?
Howard is a frustratingly interesting character. Let me put it this way. You sympathize a little with his brother-in-law Arno and the goons he works with. Now let me tell you, nothing in this movie puts you more in a state of panic than watching Howard make a bet.
No, you do. So look, let's fucking bet on this.
Every time he makes one, you just want to go in there and say, "Hey, what are you doing? Stop. Don't do that. Don't put that money down. You're already in debt. Don't dig the hole deeper." For example, he lends a rare black opal to Kevin Garnett and notices that he has a fondness for it. He takes Garnett's 2008 championship ring as collateral and then uses that to place a 6-way parlay bet.
What do you know?
I don't know. I just know.
Well, I'll tell you what I know. That's the dumbest fucking bet I ever heard of.
Now granted, this ended up being a big win, but later on, he's ambushed by Arno and his goons and finds out that the bet was stopped.
What? You stopped the bet? What do you think, asshole? You stopped the bet?
You'd think Arno was stupid for stopping it, but he makes it clear that this isn't the first time Howard has been this reckless with his money. So Howard tells him that another way he can pay back the debt is that the opal is worth over $1 million and he can get Garnett to bet on it. Howard then gets his father-in-law to place biddings to raise the price, but then Garnett ends up not going any higher, putting Howard even deeper down the hole. The movie grabs your attention with each new development. Every new revelation is a tightening of a screw, one that is driving things up tighter and tighter to a point where it's about to break. Arno and his goons find all these different ways of humiliating him, like stuffing him into the trunk of his car naked, or outright punching him after the auction. The whole framing of the movie and the editing is very tight-knit. It helps in elevating these emotions of panic, of dread, that something really bad is about to happen. The next disaster is around the corner. Moments where Howard is in his office, realizing just how screwed he is, or the fight with the Weeknd. Even in moments that seem completely innocuous, like Howard wanting to stop by the apartment, or taking out the bins, there's a genuine sense of authentic grittiness that's been found on other Safdie Brothers movies. You feel like you're there with the characters, and their chaotic decisions barely give you enough room to breathe. His relationship with Julia, played by Julia Fox, seems to be an Achilles heel for him. He's always flip-flopping between wanting her out of his life and wanting to be with her. We never do get a full picture of what she wants, but she does help Howard out in the end when he makes a 3-way parlay on Garnett's next game. And now we come to the most infamous part of the movie. Weirdly enough, I was kind of rooting for Howard. When he made the bet and won, I was thinking, great, he can pay off his debt, that settles everything. All they have to do is wait for the money to come in. But nope.
What the fuck did you just do?
I had the exact same reaction as Arno. I was frustrated by the ending, because if they had just waited, they could have taken their cut of the money, and that would have settled everything. They only had to wait for Julia to come back, and then they could take their share, and that would be the end of it. If they had just waited, they would have seen the money, and they would have been able to take it off him before he was able to do anything stupid with it. And then they go around and shoot Arno. And this just created bigger problems for themselves. And that brings me to Keith William Richards, the actor who plays the character of Phil.
You having a good time?
Yes.
The story of how he got cast is quite fascinating. He was taking the L train in New York one day when Michelle Mansour, an associate of the casting director Jennifer Vendetti, approached him about his acting experience. Despite saying he had none, he was encouraged to attend an audition. That would lead him to getting cast in this movie. Phil's an interesting character, in that you think he's just one of Arno's hired goons. But upon a rewatch, especially after that ending, you've come to find that he has his own narrative thread going on. But when he gets pushed far enough, he snaps and takes charge of the situation. Clearly, he was fed up with Howard, and likely figured that dealing with him was just one long goose chase, always lagging behind but never catching up to him. So, instead of playing the game, he decides to end the problem once and for all. As Phil and Nico loot the store, Julia makes off with the money, and Howard's wife Dina makes a call to the police. The camera dollies in, going right up into the bullet hole, finding ourselves back in that strange world of blue and orange. This time, a murky red to go along with it. Oh, okay, that shot was pretty cool, but that still doesn't make me less frustrated by the ending. Uncut Gems is a tensely paced, dramatic thriller that serves as a perfect vehicle for Adam Sandler's acting capabilities. I think the main reason this movie got so much traction was this was Adam Sandler and he did such an amazing job in it. It's obvious that the movie is built around him, as the story rarely cuts away from him. Most of the other characters are one-dimensional, and the payoff is frustrating at worst. For the character of Phil, it might have been cathartic, but for us, the audience, it's like, yay, he finally won, and it's a movie you watch because it's a complete departure for Adam Sandler, and by the end, you feel confused, stressed out, frustrated, and relieved, all at the same time. All that said, I enjoyed this movie, and I think it does warrant multiple viewings, whether that's at the theater or on Blu-ray. Alright, that's my review of Uncut Gems. This is the Canadian Movie Buff saying welcome to Season 5. It's been a long time coming, but we are back.